Okay, today we're going to learn how to use PhotoStory 3 to make your history project or any kind of video that you want to take pictures and make them into a movie. So to start with, you're going to go to the Start button, All Programs, and PhotoStory 3 for Windows. Okay, while that loads, you should have a folder already created with your pictures in it that you want to put in your movie. So you need to have some photos ready, and then it would also be helpful if you had your captions or the story that you wanted to tell in the background um, of the actual product. Okay, so we're going to start with Begin a New Story. Go to Next. And very easily you just follow the directions on the screen. So we're going to import our pictures. Like I said, you should have made a folder, hopefully in your H drive. You made a folder. I have architecture pictures or history fair project, whatever it is that you're doing. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my architecture pictures. If I click on a picture and I hold the control key, I can individually click a whole bunch of different pictures. And I can just import everything in there at one time. So I'm just going to do that. I wanted all those. I hit OK. And it doesn't matter what order the pictures are put in because you can just move them around. So you take the picture, drag it along the bottom there, and see how that did that? Okay, so we're moving our pictures around and putting them in the order that we want them to be in. And we probably need to have a slide that is a blank slide, a black blank slide, so that you can have a title page. So you're going to need to find a picture and save a black background in your photo file. And I don't have one, so I'm just going to use this one as my title slide for this purpose of this movie. Okay, so I have my pictures in the order I want them to be. I'm going to go to Next. If your pictures have black borders, you can remove the black borders, or you can just leave it with the borders. Doesn't matter. Okay, next, this is where you type your captions. So over here, I can type my title. I can put my name. I can put whatever I want to talk about the picture. I can change the font size and color. So if I want it bigger, I can change that to bold. I can change the type of font. Okay, all that stuff you guys are probably pretty good at. But what you do need to play with on these slides, especially if you're putting words in front of pictures, is what is the color of the font. So you might want to pick a darker color or a brighter color. So like lime green might show up better on a black background than black does. Obviously black's not going to work. So you have to play around with that. The other thing you might want to do is you can align it to the left, you can make it go to the top, you can make it go to the bottom, center it. So all these buttons over here put the information where you need it. So depending on what your picture looks like, depends on where you're going to want to put your font, okay? The other problem that could happen, if you have a picture, here's Chicago background, if I put words over this, this is going to be very hard to read. So say that's your caption. See how I typed that and you can't even read that there. So we could do a couple things. We can change the font color, like I said to begin with. We did on the last slide. And that might help it. So let's change it to yellow this time. Oh, okay. So that's better. But it's still maybe a little bit hard to read there. I can go up to the top. Now I really can't read that because that's a lighter background, so maybe I want to put it on the bottom. Back in the middle is probably where it needs to be the best. But you might still not be able to read that when you actually play it. So you can do one more thing. You can do sepia, so it changes the background. You can change it to a black and white. Or you could also do a washout. which is one of the ones a lot of people choose because they still like the color in there. They want to see what the picture is. They also want to be able to read the words. So these effects down here are really important. You're going to go through each one of your slides. You're going to put whatever effect you want in it and any caption you want on it. Some slides you may not want captions. If you have a slide that has a lot of words or graphs or maps, you don't want to put words over a picture with words, okay? So you might want to add in another blank slide. So that black slide that you found, if you go back to your import pictures, so this back and next button are going to be your friend. I'm going to import pictures, and I want to import more of that black background. Okay, I'm going to import a few of those because I may need them just to do a slide with just words. So before this picture here, this is Falling Water, it's the name of the house, you don't want to take away from the beauty of this picture. So before that picture comes on your movie, you want to type in maybe the importance of this architecture. So Frank Lloyd Wright. So again, can't see the words. I'm going to do this one black. Well, it is black and white. You could do charcoal. I'm going to change the font to white. And that still doesn't work. Not a good one. Alright. So now I can read my words. I have the information that I need to know about this next picture right there. So that's a very, very handy tip to have. So now we have all of our pictures in order, we have all of our text that we want, and we're ready to go on to the next step. The next step, you could do two different things here. You can actually record your voice, and each slide you can put some narration to it. So my suggestion is to have your story written out, planned out, or you can type what you want to say on each slide right there so you could read it as you are recording the thing. Go through each slide, and I would write what I wanted to say at each slide. Now keep in mind, you're telling a story, so you're not saying, this is a picture of 3 women laughing over a piece of pie. You're going to say things like, friendship brings people together, and history makes us all connect. And then we're going to go to the next slide. And one of the most important parts of Chicago's history is its architecture. The next slide, and you're saying things. Okay? When you record, you put it on the picture, you highlight the picture here that you want to record to, you hit this record button, it will record what you're saying. When you're done talking, you hit stop, and then you can preview it. Okay? And as you go through your slides, you're going to say what you need to say. Don't read what's on the slide either. That's boring. People can read. So choose your story differently from your pictures. Now the next step we want to do is we want to put motion to our pictures. Because right now, if you play this, it's just going to show this picture by itself. It's not going to move. So when you hit this button here, it says Customize Motion. This is telling you actually the program put in some motion, but it's maybe not be what you want. So it's starting at the bottom of this picture and it's going to the top. If you want to change that, like maybe you want it to start big, get this, it's really hard. You got to make sure that the arrow, see the arrow there? It has to be a flat arrow. So it's flat. If it is a plus sign like that, that means you can move the actual frame around. When it's flat, then that's how you change the size. So what I want to do is I want to start out big, and then I want to zoom in on this piece of pie. Okay? So that's my movement of the picture, and I can preview that. So now you can see how that's going to look in your movie, and if you like that, then great. You save it down here, and now you have that saved. The next thing you may want to add is a transition. The transition goes from the slide before to the current picture you're on. So it's saying, here's the picture you had before, previous picture. This is the transition that right now is in. It's like a faded one. And then this is the current picture you're working with. So down here you can choose, do you want it to V fade? And it does a demonstration of what that transition looks like in the middle. So you can see if that's how you want it. I actually kind of liked just the fading, the crossfade was fine for this. And now I'm going to save and close. So I now have a transition and a movement to that picture. So I go to the next picture, I hit Customize Motion, I click this box. It's very important. If that little check mark isn't checked, then I can't move the slide. Can't move the setting of the picture. Then I can add in my transition, do a bow tie on this one, save, and when I hit save, it actually saves it for the motion and for the transition. Go to my next picture and do the same thing. I'm going to highlight this, and maybe I want to go really small to bigger. You can move it. It's going from left to right big. We need to look at our movie and see how we like it. Let's start it at the beginning, and let's hit preview, and then you can watch and see what, this slide doesn't have movement. Uh-oh, I better go put movement back. That one is good. Listen to any narration that you have. Can you read the words? Do you need to go change fonts? The whole thing, and see what you need to fix in your movie. If you look at the bottom here of each slide, it tells you what it has. So if it has this little picture square with like a little pen, it looks like, in it, that's the transition. So then you know that slide has a transition. If you have two rectangles kind of overlapping, that means that you have movement in your picture. That lets you know what's going on. This says 9 seconds. That means there's narration there. So if you don't like the narration on that slide, you can delete the narration. Are you sure you want to delete it? Yes. And then you can always hit the record again and re-record just that slide, because remember you typed your notes there to add what you wanted to. I'm going to go on to next. What you probably all are going to need is music, though. For the purposes of this video, I am going to just use the music that is in the program. So it says create music. I hit create music. And now I can play with this stuff. I can choose a genre. If I want classical music, if I want soundtrack, world, rock, pop. Now, is pop going to be the pop that you guys listen to? Britney Spears or whatever? No. It's going to be kind of cheesy pop. I'm not going to lie. So choose if you want an electric piano, regular piano, space orchestra. I don't even know what that is. You choose your mood. Do you want it honest? Do you want it dapper? Do you want it to be sad, sorrowful? If it's a sad thing that you're talking about, then you're not going to want to have romantic music or cheerful music. That doesn't make sense. And then you can also use this slider here, and that'll change the tempo. You can change the intensity to high, low, so you can play with all these things. You hit play. See what it sounds like. If you like the way it sounds, great. You put it in. If you don't like how it sounds, you just keep playing with this stuff until you get a music that you like. I'm going to just say okay. And it puts it through the entire movie. Okay? And that's because I started it on this slide. If I decide I don't like that music, I can hit delete, and now the music went away. I have this first slide highlighted, create music, and we just put that in there, and we hit next. The next part is how we're going to save our project. To save your project, you have a couple things you need to do. First of all, you need to make sure that you're going to save it in the right file folder. So we're going to go to our H drive. We're going to go to our history folder where we are saving our projects. Wherever we had our pictures is probably where we should save our movie that we made. And we're not going to call it PhotoStory. We're going to call it, actually, you should probably name it your last name, because your teacher needs to grade it, and if everybody is doing the same topic, let's say Holocaust, and everybody names their movie Holocaust and turns it in, the teacher doesn't know, well, whose Holocaust movie is this one? Your teacher might give you more specifics as to how they want their file saved, so pay attention to that. I'm going to hit save. Now what that did was that just saved the project. It did not save it as a movie yet. So all I did was actually save the project. If I close PhotoStory, I did save this. Alright, let's do it again. Okay, so it saved the project. And how I can tell is when I go into my computer, I go to my H drive, I go to my history fair, and I find Thompson, there it is, Thompson, Chicago. It has a little picture with a little play button. That's a PhotoStory project. It doesn't play on Movie Maker. It's not a movie yet. That means I can still edit it. I can still make changes to it. And go back into PhotoStory, and I always want to open up the program PhotoStory first. Don't open up your project from the computer H drive. And you hit Edit Project, go to Next. There's my movie. That's a project. Hit Open, and it puts everything back in there. And it starts it back at the beginning. To go back through to the end, and I can make any of my changes. Back, forward, motion, any more captions I need, anything I have, but everything is in there. Even and my music is in there. Oh, I didn't talk about the volume of the music. It's right now set to really high. If you have narration, you definitely want it to be way down here to low, because you don't want the music to be louder than your voice. But if you don't have narration, I would put the volume in the middle. High is kind of really, really loud. So all I've done so far is save the project. Now what I need to do is actually save it as a movie. I'm totally done. My movie's awesome. I'm ready to turn it in. I highlight this part here. Save your story, playback for on computer. We make sure that it is in the right drive in our History Fair project, and we want it in that folder. And notice how now it's going to save it as a Windows movie video file. Okay, so this is blue. It's in the right spot. I'm going to go next. Now it's actually preparing the video. Now it's making all those pictures, putting in all the motion, putting all the music in with it, putting whatever captions you have or narration. It's putting it all together. At the end, when this is done, I'm going to show you, you'll have two different files in your folder. You'll have one file that's the PhotoStory project of Chicago, and then you'll have another file that is the movie of Chicago. It says view your story or create another story. So if you actually hit view your story, it'll open up Windows Movie Maker and show it to you. But I'm going to show you, I do not want to do that. I want to go into my computer and I want to show you that there's a difference between the two. So here's my Thompson Chicago project as the PhotoStory that I can edit, and here's my Thompson Chicago project as a Windows movie that I can play on the player. If I click on this, it'll open up my Windows movie player. And this is what you want to turn into your teacher, not this. Very important to know. If after you watch your movie, I suggest you, even after you make your movie, I would watch the whole thing, make sure there isn't anything I want to change in it. If there is, you have this whole project still saved. You can go back and edit from there. You cannot edit from the movie. Once the movie's rendered, you can't edit this file. You can only edit this file.